Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. So, in talking about what happened today, like I said the last week, where the market was going to be pulling back, and if we did get a rally, you'd see the market pull back at 27K. Like I said in my previous video, from a technical analysis standpoint, you can easily see here where from about, this is like all of January of 18, well into just about November of 19, that the market had a very hard time breaking 27K. And of course, like I had said previously, was that we literally broke that 27K mark right here, right? Within one trade day, we broke through, and then subsequently the following day gap down, which was pretty bad considering it took us the better part of several years to break 27K, and we literally broke 27K within one trading day. And I said before that the market was going to test 24,000, which we did. And you can see here where the markets, we tested here on the low end, came all the way down to about, I think the low on this day was 24,689. Let me see. Yeah, the low was 24,681. And so we did come close to testing that 24K level that you can see right here. 24K is right here. You should be able to see that right there, where the market multi-bounced here. Of course, this is a flush down, which of course will be the next level that you'll be looking for. So over the course of the remainder of the week, I would look for the market to test down to 24K. And if we were to break below 24K, our next area of resistance would be 22K. Talking about what happened today in New York City, it says New York City high school closes after suspected coronavirus case in its community. And we see because of the lack of testing, the market feels unsure. Even though they said here that stocks swoon, fall below 1% for the first time ever. It says stocks fall sharply lower as Fed stokes recession fears. And you see the market where the federal government is trying to inject liquidity. At one point during the trading day, I was watching this early in the morning before going to sleep as I worked at night, and I see the market plunge down to 350 as Cuomo is speaking about the school closure. You can see that the market was reacting negatively to what the government is saying about, don't worry, that everything is under control, etc. And then they start referring to, no worries, we're gonna lower rate cuts. But what investors are really looking for is that the government has a plan of what they're gonna do for coronavirus patients, which, as of this time, because of the lack of testing, it really doesn't seem like the government is well prepared. And of course, to investors, uncertainty will cause the market to fall. And so during the morning of the trading day, you see the market flush down. We were down 350, down again, retesting that 24/7 level, right, where we came down previously. Let's see if I can look this up on the 15. Might be a little bit easier to see, where we previously had flushed down right here on 25, on that 25/7. And so I'm like watching the market, and the market flushes down and then immediately swings the other way around. And I'm like, maybe this is the federal government kind of injecting money into the market, because it was a huge swing from down 350 to up 300. We were up like almost, it was like a 700-point swing in the market. And I'm like, you can see it right here, right, where the market flushed down to, put this back on the 5-minute, where the market flushed pretty far down here. And then subsequently, of course, the rally. And I'm like, it must be the government injecting money into the market. With that said, of course, this presents a problem, as it says New York State confirms second coronavirus patient as U.S. cases top 100. And this is a 50-year-old man who had not traveled to countries hardest hit by outbreak. Says does have underlying respiratory illnesses and has been hospitalized in serious condition. So it's this environment that is causing the market to react the way that it is, not just including whether Trump will be reelected and Bernie Sanders, who is a bit more anti market, and of course looking to forgive student loans. That's kind of like on the back burner. What's in the forefront of the eye of the American people is what is going on with the coronavirus. I would say, as a nurse in New York City, working in a major hospital, we are not prepared to handle the coronavirus because they're not testing anybody. There was a doctor who, I wonder if it's here, who recently spoke, who had said that that as a doctor he is hamstrung by the fact that he can't test people. I believe it was, let me see, Matt Carlton. Here we go. Matt McCarthy. Here we go. And so he had stated that, here, I'll pull it up right here on
FDA
YouTube.
commissioner and CNBC contributor. He serves on both Pfizer's and Illumina's board.
Or this doctor here.
boards.
He's a New York Presbyterian doctor. And so he says here,
Upper reagent.
Sent a test out to 50 states and then said, oh, hold up, don't use it. Let us fix it.
How quickly
it's
can
now
we get on
March.
track now, Matt?
We hear that it's coming very soon, but I'm here to tell you right now, at one of the busiest hospitals in the country, I don't have it at my fingertips. I still.
And this is at New York Presbyterian Hospital, which is a major hospital here, located in New York City.
Have to call the Department of Health. I still have to make my case, plead to test people. This is not good. We know that there are 88 cases in the United States. There are going to be hundreds by middle of the week. There's going to be thousands by next week.
So
and
this is what the market is worried about, that the government is not doing anything.
Testing
Well,
issue.
what do you do with people in the emergency room if you can't test them?
Well, we call and we try to test. We isolate them. We have an outstanding team.
They send these people home. They don't have the quarantine abilities within the hospitals to hold non-symptomatic patients. If you have a fever, you can go home, right? If you're not short of breath, which is kind of more as the virus progresses, if you're not short of breath, there's no point in keeping that person. That person can self-quarantine at home. Of course, that person may be worried that they have children, etc., but in the grand scheme of things, as you start to take on more and more patients, you can't just keep on admitting every single person just because that person has coronavirus. Many of these patients will have to self-quarantine. They'll have to, stay within a particular room within their home or within their apartment. Or, as Cuomo said earlier today, that many of these individuals will go into a location, whether the government, utilizes like a hotel or something, where we can kind of clump all of these people up, kind of like how China did. China took a lot of their patients who were sick, and they basically put them into either factories or warehouses, and they just threw beds and made these makeshift hospitals to kind of quarantine these patients who were maybe a little bit more symptomatic. But asymptomatic persons, and I would say like someone who does not need to be in the hospital, but someone who just needs who is not experiencing shortness of breath, can more than likely stay home until they become semi-symptomatic. And that's what we're seeing with many of the patients in like nursing homes, where a lot of these patients who are who are elderly, have comorbidities, etc., who have things like hypertension, diabetes, heart failure, COPD, asthma, history of recurrent pneumonia. These are a lot of the patients that are going to need to come into your hospitals, to take up your hospital beds, and to take up your airborne isolation beds. You're not going to be able to just take in, what we refer to as, walkie-talkie ambulatory patients into our ISO rooms who are not symptomatic. Those are, literally speaking, are a waste of beds, because you'll need them for patients who are more symptomatic, especially as the disease progresses. You're better off just having these people self-isolate. Another thing that many New York hospitals could, and in my opinion should do, is limit the amount of people coming into the actual hospital. On any given day, we have numerous friends and relatives who are coming to visit, family members, and many of these individuals do not respect isolations. I see this all the time, where they walk into rooms and they don't wear the gowns, or they're like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see that huge sticker that you have on the wall that says please see the nurse, etc., before walking into the room. And they sit in these isolation rooms with patients with communicable diseases, and then they kind of like give you an attitude when you tell them like you have to wear gloves, you have to wear gowns, like, or you have to wear a mask. And then they come to the nurse's station, they touch everything, they touch the doorknobs, they press the elevator buttons, and you come into contact with these different surfaces that are contaminated. And so, especially for a virus that is easily spread and can be easily contracted by a large number of people and can be passed on asymptomatically, it would be wise to limit the number of people coming into your hospital or into your place of work, because it just causes you to have a higher rate of coming in contact with someone leaving behind. Maybe they coughed into your hand, because not everybody practices proper hand hygiene, and coughing into your shoulder, into your sleeve, etc. And so you, as a healthcare worker, there's only so many times that you can wash your hands as you're coming literally from door to door to door to door to door, as there are so many doors within a hospital. For the most part, even among practitioners, there are even many practitioners who don't practice good hand hygiene and good practice effective control, infective control, and making sure that they're not transmitting, wearing gowns outside of the rooms, and making sure you're taking off your gloves before you're touching a clean surface, things of that nature. I see that all the time as a nurse. And so these are the things that the market is worried about, is that the government just doesn't have a plan. But like I said, I would definitely say for the coming days to pay attention to how the market reacts to the plunge below 24K, which I'm sure will happen as more and more cases start to show up within the Americas. You can see now in South Korea, they're already up to 5,000 cases. Let me just refresh this real quick, make sure that's up to date. Yeah, as you're seeing in Korea, because they're persistently testing patients. You can see South Korea, Italy, even in places like Iran, where they are persistently testing, they're showing large numbers of cases, large clusters. And New York City, America, is not testing. And this is why the numbers in the US are as low as they are. And it's just because they're not testing people. As the doctor said here,
of infection control practitioners who know how to handle this, but they're hamstrung by the fact that we don't have a diagnostic test available.
Are people getting sent home? Because I read reports of that over the weekend.
So they, as you said, we don't have a diagnostic test available, and so a lot of these people can come into your place of work, into the hospitals, and can contaminate surfaces, etc. But even like I was saying, I would say definitely pay attention to how the market reacts to 24. If we break 24, I would hold off injecting fresh liquidity into the market up until that 22K mark or thereabouts, if you're looking for a snapback. Because what will happen is the Fed and the government will inject liquidity into the market, which is what you see here. You see a quick snapback, but the federal government cannot continue to inject liquidity into the markets because of the overwhelming selling that is going on. What will happen is people will just sell into the government, and then the government will sell as stocks continue to go down, because there's no buying. There's no buying that's going on because investors are uncertain of what's going on within the financial market in relation to the government not having a clear and decisive plan put in place. With that said, I do recommend making sure that you, of course, if you do have symptoms, to contact a physician. If you do have a fever, be sure to contact your local doctor, and of course to practice proper hand hygiene, making sure that if you are a healthcare worker, or if you've come in contact with people that you think are sick, it's important to immediately take your clothes off, take a shower, so that those clothes that have been exposed to the outside world are not the same clothes that you sit down with. You sit down in your chair, and make sure you take your shoes off as soon as you walk in, so that we're not tracking in all these different bugs and viruses and bacteria into your home. And of course, to be well prepared with enough food and water to last you, what I'd say, at least for a good 2 to 3 months, which is the length of what they're saying that the virus can last, where we can have a large amount of people who are symptomatic, where the virus spikes for about 2 to 3 months, and then of course the subsequent decline, which would be another 2 or 3 months. I would definitely say have enough food and water for at least 2 to 3 months, and then just pay attention to how the market is reacting. If the government does start to be more decisive, you might see the market kind of rebound. But then we have other things that are going on within the market, as we are in an overbought market, as well as the looming presidency, the campaign for presidency that's going on. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys have a great day. I got to get ready for work as I'm on my 9th night at the hospital. Hope you guys have a great day. Take care. God bless.